Good morning, everybody. I'm glad to be here with you this Saturday morning. My name is Ed Samuel. I'm a career coach with a firm called Sam Nova. We're based in Kennett Square, PA, and serve clients in the greater Philadelphia area and across the U.S. I hope you enjoyed our last program a couple of weeks ago as we kicked off our Career Spotlight series of 2020. We spoke with Julie Kovaleski, a market manager for Best Version Media, and learned many of her twists and turns before eventually landing what she would tell you is her dream job. We'll be back with another great guest in the Spotlight series in a few weeks. But we wanted to shift gears a bit, and I wanted to talk about a topic that's come up quite a bit, and people have asked me to cover it on this particular program, and it's called the hidden job market. And a lot of people ask me, hey, Ed, what is the hidden job market? It's often misunderstood, and it's not the easiest nut to crack when it comes to trying to find your next job. So wanted to spend some time this morning talking about the hidden job market. And, before, I jump into it, or to create some context, I talk to people every day about their job search, and I speak at quite a few events these days. And one of the things that we start to talk about is, hey, what's your job search strategy? What is it about? And a lot of times, let me cover some points where people, you're more familiar with these areas. So one would be, well, part of my job search is I apply for jobs. Okay, everybody applies for jobs. That's understood. Hey, I'm waiting for a recruiter to call me, or I'm engaging a recruiter. Well, that could be part of your job search strategy. Another one is, hey, I'm going to apply for a job, and then I'm going to leverage my network and engage my network and help me try to get in that door. Well, that works. Hey, you might see an opening somewhere, and you might want to leverage your network before you're even applying for that job. That works. You might want to go to a networking event, and Philadelphia has a ton of networking events to go to. But the purpose of going there is to seek a warm or a semi-warm lead that can get your foot in the door. That works. That's part of your job search strategy. You could post your resume on one of the job boards. I know people that do that all the time. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but people do that, and that's part of your job search strategy. You could go to an industry-specific, networking event, whether it be in supply chain, marketing, IT, audit. The list goes on and on. But go to a networking event where, again, you could potentially run into somebody. You could leverage your formal LinkedIn network somehow as part of your job search strategy. You could even go to a LinkedIn group and start posting some industry-specific comments that you're an expert in to try to garner some activity and some awareness as part of your job search strategy. And again, you might join a professional organization and tap into it somehow to garner some warm leads. But my question is, this is part of a job search strategy everybody tries to go after, and that makes sense. But are you really going after the hidden job market? And the hidden job market is going after is just a different kind of play, and it kind of steps maybe one step beyond those activities, and those activities are all good activities, and it's part of a job search strategy. But the hidden job market is another very specific kind of strategy to use, and I'm going to kind of explain it a little bit. But I kind of define it as this hidden job market is a kind of a moment in time when your talent and your skills meet a need or problem at the right time and place. And that's kind of what you're tapping into. Could it be the right time? Could it be the right moment? Could you be the right person with the right talent? And you're tapping into something. Now, when we talk about the hidden job market, what is it specifically? And here's my best way of explaining it. So hidden job market would be, talking to somebody who might be in a hiring capacity or decision-making capacity, and they have positions in their budget, and those positions are unposted. Nope. So they're not on the internet yet. They're not publicly posted, but they're in someone's budget. When I was in corporate, I led a lot of large organizations. I had a lot of openings in my budget. And I could post some of those positions anytime I wanted. Sometimes I did, and sometimes I held back. But that's part of the hidden job market. Another one would be you engage a firm, you engage a hiring manager, a decision maker, and they're already interviewing. And that job will never be posted on the public job market. You'll never see it on Indeed. You'll never see it on LinkedIn, and people are interviewing. And it's like, well, why would that be? Well, they're interviewing because they're literally about ready to fire 2 people. And the last thing that company is going to do is post positions for those roles if they're letting people go. So now they're quietly interviewing. In fact, I had a client a couple of months ago who tapped into the hidden job market. And sure enough, Ed, you're not going to believe this. Talked to this particular hiring manager, and they said, "Oh, perfect timing. We're interviewing." And my client asked why. I mean, what's the role? And, I didn't say anything on your website. And the hiring manager literally said, well, that's because we're going to be letting a couple people go, and we're doing this very quietly. And that person was, my client was brought in for the interview. Another reason is there are some companies, especially small, medium, they're using their own network, and they're bringing people in to interview. They don't want to be bothered with opening requisitions and posting positions and getting hundreds of resumes. They're just bringing in people that they know within their network to interview. So again, this is another part of the hidden job market. If you don't tap into it, you'll never know about it. Now, another one is, here's a hiring manager, a couple people left, and these are some key roles, and they normally will start to, think about, well, okay, I'm going to have to get a third-party recruiter involved. I'm going to have to hand this off to a contingency recruiter or retained recruiter. But then lo and behold, you come knocking on the door, and they have a need, and they have not sent it to any recruiter yet. And if you think about that, you're ahead of the curve, way ahead of the curve, because again, a good hiring manager is not going to send it to a third-party recruiter unless they're contractually bound for some reason. If you come knocking on the door and you're tapping into the hidden job market, and you get to talk to them before it gets handed to that third-party recruiter. Another great part of the hidden job market is a case where, you're talking to somebody and they're talking to you, and they're getting to understand who you are, and they have a set of problems. They have a set of needs. They have to have an opportunity where your skills and your experiences, your value proposition, who you are, what you bring to the table, all of a sudden, all the stars start to align. Everything starts to make sense. And the next thing you know, you have a company literally bringing you back in for maybe another interview because they're going to create a position just for you. And they weren't even thinking about it until you came knocking on the door and they engage you. And I could tell you example after example after example in my experience where that's actually brought created positions for people who would normally never have seen it coming. So those are all a bit of what that hidden job market is all about. The key to all of this is once those jobs are publicly posted, right? Nothing's hidden anymore, right? You really want to get ahead of the curve. One more piece of the hidden job market before I move on has to do with, you engage a hiring manager or a decision maker, and you build that relationship, and they can get you on the internal referral list for that company. Those internal referrals are huge because those referrals will often, most of the time, be looked at first before jobs are even publicly posted. And even if those jobs are publicly posted, and I worked for a firm where that has actually happened, we would publicly post, but the first people we would call are those people who were on the internal referral list. Now, the only way those people could get on the internal referral list is people were knocking on doors, building relationships, tapping into the hidden job market, and then getting on that list. But they were so far ahead of everybody else waiting for that job to post publicly, thinking that they would have a equal shot. And when you get on that internal referral list, there is no equal shot. They get first dibs as a rule, and that's why those companies have internal referral lists. So that's a little bit about, what this hidden job market is about. And then I'm often asked, well, hey, Ed, so I understand all that, but how come I'm not doing it? Why do people not do that? Why do you go? Why are you not attacking that hidden job market? And there's some issues, some challenges that you're faced with when you're trying to go after this hidden job market. So and here are some mistakes that are made. So here's one. We violate the number one rule of networking. And the number one rule of networking, for those of you who know me well, never ask for a job. So what happens is that you might find a decision maker, and the first thing that comes out of your mouth is, hey, I'm in job transition. Do you have a job? And it's the quickest way to end a discussion, because you either going to get a yes or a no answer. And if it's a no, it's a hard no. Hey, I don't have anything. I wish you well. They don't even know who you are. They haven't even talked to you, and you're kind of pushing the question, and you're never going to get to a conversation to tap into the hidden job market if you're just asking me for a job and you're looking for that yes or no. Now, what follows suit to this is that when you're tapping into the hidden job market, you really need to chase not a job, but you need to chase a relationship. So you really need to talk to somebody about who you are, what you bring to the table. Everything's got to feel right. And then there's a dialogue. And that dialogue does not have to be hours of conversation. It could be minutes of conversation. But you want them to see you for who you are and what you bring to the table, not just you're chasing a singular job. So we get because that's the quickest way to end the conversation. When people would call me up, I would spend more time with someone who wanted to talk about who they were. 99% of the time, I would be more inclined to want to talk to them than a person who says, Ed, I see you have a job, or do you have a job? Well, that's the only reason they're calling me. They're not calling me to introduce themselves, share who they are, spend some time, get to know me. I get to know them. So that's so important. And when we violate this, it creates problems. Now, the other argument, I say, well, Ed, if I go after the hidden job market, this takes way too much time. I would rather just go to networking forums all day long to get warm leads. I'd rather just stay on the internet and apply for jobs. I'd rather just talk to recruiters. I'd rather have my network, bring me places. And again, those are all good strategies. This is hard work. And if you're looking to do something easy, going after the hidden job market is not easy. And it does take time. And sometimes, I've seen it happen in 3 weeks. Amazing things. And I've also seen it take 9 months, amazing things. I've seen it take even over a year for amazing things, tapping into the hidden job market. So yeah, it does take time. Another concern, or another mistake that's made is that we really don't target the best hiring manager to really engage in these discussions. So if you target the wrong person, if you target somebody at a company that would ultimately be your peer, they're not going to help you with the hidden job market because they don't have a some interest in you potentially coming and sitting along them. That happens a lot. Or we target somebody who really is not the appropriate hiring manager for what you do. So if you target the wrong hiring manager, you're really not going after the hidden job market as much as you might think. And I'm also, a big fan of not going so high, or I don't believe you should go so high in an organization because it typically backfires. Try to go to somebody that you might ultimately work for. Now, you may actually have to pick up the phone. You may actually have to engage somebody that you don't know. And there may be, no warm or semi-warm leads for you. That's part of engaging the hidden job market. From my perspective, somebody who's the key person, maybe nobody in your network knows that person. It doesn't hurt to call, doesn't hurt to engage them in a conversation. And I know I could talk for a whole, for hours on end about cold calling and why people are upset or concerned or worried about why it doesn't work. But I could tell you one thing. When you have your act together, it works more than it doesn't work as a rule. But you got to do some other things related to it. But my point being is that one of the things to tap into one of the ways to tap into the hidden job market is you got to pick up the phone and call people. Now, another mistake that made and this is made often. Hey, I'm going to call my buddy in HR. I'm going to call the talent acquisition team. They'll be able to help me with the hidden job market at that firm. And I will tell you 99% of the time, I'm sorry for the HR people listening, they're not going to help you. They don't get paid to talk to you about the hidden job market within their firm and about what's in a manager's budget and what's not in the budget. And yeah, there might be a rare exception, but as a rule, they're under the gun to fill jobs. They're under the gun to do their job. They're not necessarily under the gun to help you understand the hidden job market within that firm or organization. But yet we think because they're so easy to access or get to that we're making progress and tapping into the hidden job market. So be very, very careful not to think that, not to use HR or the internal recruiters as a way to try to understand what's happening at that firm in the kind of detail that I'm suggesting. Now, another mistake that's made, do not think a third-party recruiter that you're talking to, somebody that an employer has hired to help recruit, they're not going to help you with the hidden job market. And I was a recruiter, so I understand this. The reason they're not going to help is because they're not going to get paid by sharing the hidden job market with you. They want to take those jobs, and they really want to fill those jobs and get paid a fee for filling those jobs. So asking your third-party recruiter friends to tell you about the hidden job market at one of their clients, I'd rather see you, go outside your house and throw marshmallows against the wall. That would be a better use of your time than engaging in that kind of dialogue with a third-party recruiter. Then another mistake that's made, and it happens often, is that, hey, Ed, I finally found the person, and I'm trying to tap into the hidden job market. And, and I sent that person an email. I sent them a LinkedIn invite, and they never responded. Some people even pick up the phone and left a voicemail. They never responded. And I would tell you, you cannot go in and attack the hidden job market with a one-and-done headset. It takes persistence. It takes a level of patience. And look, I was in corporate. I played a lot of roles. I was really busy. But to think that I'm going to be there answering every voicemail, every email from every person that's coming at me, it doesn't happen that way. And I would urge you to not use a one-and-done headset if you really want to tap into the hidden job market. Now, what does it take? What do you have to do to really tap into this hidden job market? Let me hit on a couple things here. One, this is near and dear to me. Your resume better be spot on. You want to go tap into the hidden job market and it takes someone's time? Well, that resume better be spot on. And if your resume is not spot on, and if you're not sure if it's spot on, buy my book, Optimize Your Resume, that came out. It's on Amazon. Read it and see if it musters what my requirements are of a spot on resume. Because sometimes you only have one shot to make an impression when you tap into the hidden job market, and a sloppy resume, something that doesn't look sharp, it creates a problem. Your LinkedIn profile better be spot on. You better be current. And, it takes me about 5 seconds to do a quick glance at a LinkedIn profile today to know that you've used a coach of some sort, or that LinkedIn is spot on or not. I see it as plain as day. About 5-6 seconds, I can tell whether your LinkedIn is up to snuff. And it hurts you tremendously when you're tapping into the hidden job market when that LinkedIn is not up to speed. Then the other thing is that this might surprise some of you is that, when you engage somebody in the hidden job market, somebody that you really want to get to and have this conversation, what you say in writing, how you say it, the voicemail you leave, all of that becomes even more important than your resume, because you have to give somebody an argument why you. Why should I spend 2 or 3 minutes with you, 5 minutes with you? And there's a methodology going through that. And, but what you say, don't underestimate. It's not, even if the resume is spot on, you have to say something in terms of words that precede that resume to give somebody a motivation to open the file to even look at the resume. That becomes pretty darn important if you really want to tap into the hidden job market. And again, I mentioned this earlier, you do have to, I recommend highly pick up the phone. You got to make a call. And if you do make a call, you can't panic and violate the number one rule of networking, which is, you got a job? I'm looking for a job. I'm in job transition. And then, build a relationship. And it's hard because people are pressed for time. The one thing I could just tell you about, there's lots of things here, but one thing is you have to bring a level of persistence. You have to bring a level of tolerance. Even for rejection. If you talk to 20 people, maybe one person calls you back. Maybe one person engages you. Maybe 15 say, hey, I can't help you, and they hang up. It's not for the weak of heart going after the hidden job market. And you might find yourself, having to talk to a lot of people. I had a client, I want to say 6 months ago, he reached out to 18 people in the hidden job market, never applied for a job. Reached out to 18 people, 6 interviews, 3 job offers. That doesn't happen often, but it happens. Somebody else, it might be, 260 people, and it was 258 who responded. So that's where the persistence comes in. And it's hard. So sometimes you have to work at it. Most of the time you'll have to work at it. But if you don't want to do hard work, this is not the play. Go back to the other job search strategies that I mentioned earlier on the program. The worst that happens is that somebody says to you, hey, we talked for a while, I'm not sure I know anybody that can help you, and all my positions have been filled, but you have some great capability. You could always turn it into the positive side. The positive side, now you know somebody. Ask that person to link up with you on LinkedIn. Make a connection. Hey, ask if you could tap in, check in with them every 3 or 4 months. There's no downside to that. But one thing you have that you didn't have in the start of all this, and that's leverage. Because if something does pop up at this company months and months from now, and you're still on the market and you apply, you don't get a response from HR, guess who you get to go back to? That very person you spoke to because you were tackling that hidden job market. So even if you may not get an interview, may not be hired, that relationship can come back to bless you in a number of ways. And if we had more time, I could go through an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours of successes of my clients and my company tapping into the hidden job market and the methodology and how we go about it and the persistence that we use. Not easy, but it's part of a really well-balanced job search strategy. And and again, I wish I had more time because I would share many, many more success stories. But I think, that's kind of a bit of a rundown on this hidden job market, and hopefully today you got a sense of what it is, and that it's not for everybody. But and we're just about out of time. One of the things I mentioned or I alluded to, I did publish my first book at the end of 2019 called Optimize Your Career: The Do's and Don'ts of Resumes, the Sam Nova Way. It's available on Amazon on paperback and Kindle. I've been very honored to say that from hundreds of people who have bought the book to date, not one person has said to me it was not very helpful in some way. So I take great joy in the fact that it's helping people. Love to see you pick up a copy for you, your son, your daughter, a friend in need, or yourself. And again, it's a great read to help validate even your existing resume. I'll be speaking next on the do's and don'ts of resumes based on my new book next Friday, February 7th at 9:30 a.m. at the Career Networking Group of Montgomery County. So you have to go to Meetup to register, and feel free to take a look at my LinkedIn page. I'll be posting. I think I posted that event on my LinkedIn page this past weekend. So take a look at that. Love to have you come out, and I'll share with you some do's and don'ts of resumes. So that's about it for now. Please join me again on the next Optimize Your Career program on Saturday, February 15th. We'll be talking to another amazing guest as part of our Career Spotlight series this year. This is Ed Samuel, career coach with Sam Nova. Our website is www.samnovainc.com, SAMNOVAINC.com. If you'd like to send a question or comment, you can reach me at esamuel, ESAMUEL, at samnovainc.com, or call our main number at 610-274-8214. So make it a great weekend. God bless. Bye-bye.